Making sure that we're on top of our money, making sure we're on top of our spending, making sure that we're paying all our bills and all our debts is a wellness hack. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Emielle. Welcome back to Forecasting Wellness. This is an area full of everyone that is obsessed with wellness in a healthy way, obviously, wanting to improve a lot of aspects in their life, wanting to be and become the best versions of themselves without inhibiting themselves in any way. Hello, welcome. I am so glad you have clicked on to this video because it is a video I have a passion for, I have an absolute love for, and that is budgeting. When I moved out in my early 20s, which was only about 7 months ago or so, I had no clue what moving out entailed. I had no clue what bills entailed and all those aspects, and making sure I was on top of my spending. Back when I lived at home, I did pay board, but that was obviously at a discounted price. Didn't buy groceries, didn't have to worry about feeding myself, spending time cooking food, didn't have to worry about utilities, internet, all that other stuff. I did pay obviously for my own phone, all my clothes, all that stuff, miscellaneous activities and spending. But the actual gist of budgeting everything when you move out in your early 20s is quite hard of a reality to hit, to know, and to work through. So I am going to be transparent with you guys. I'm going to be honest with you guys, show you my little expense tracker that I've made on Google Sheets. I'm obsessed with Excel, Google Sheets. I am a lover of all things organization and tracking and productivity and everything about that. So I am so keen to finally show you guys how I budget. The issue with my job currently is that I get paid monthly, which isn't fun at all. It is such a struggle when you get to that last week of the month and you're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to scrounge money from? Let's get budgeting. Got my Mac over here. I can't film for you guys because the lighting is absolutely horrific when you go from this angle because it shines straight into the window that's over there. But I am going to record, so you'll see my little screen here of my budget tracker. I did adapt mine from someone I found on TikTok. I think that she's Australian, I'm not too sure. She obviously creates her own expense tracker and she does a lot of budgeting videos. And when I was moving out of home about February this year, I definitely was spamming TikTok and YouTube for any videos like that, trying to get a free sheet. And to be honest, there was no free sheets. And at that time, I couldn't spend the money to buy an expense tracker from someone. I found a lot on Etsy that I was really interested into buying, but again, I had to spend money on other things whilst moving out. There is nothing too fancy about it, but it's something that works very well for me. This is the first page you see when you go into my expense tracker. I haven't actually used this. I feel like I should. You can tell that I created this in the start of March and I haven't exactly used this page, but this is just your splurge and necessities. So you track your expenses, can be monthly, can be yearly, on stuff that you spend. So here you've got my rent, that goes monthly, and I put it as a necessity. And then this was a Kmart little haul I did it as a splurge. So if you track this over a month, you can kind of see exactly how you're spending money, the ratio, the percentage. Obviously, I've only got 2 things in this expense tracker, but you can see, 90% is necessity, 7.6 is splurging. If you track this over a year, I feel like it would be very viable to look at and interesting to look at, so you can kind of really see, hey, am I spending the money in the way I should be? Is there anything that I can change and adapt for the next financial year? Definitely going to keep trying to use this, try and actively use it next year. I'm really curious to see how I can change the way I spend, if I'm splurging too much, or if I'm only spending on necessities and not splurging enough, because you have to have a balance between that. Over on the right side, I have a few blocks. These are my monthly overall what I spend, which is utilities. This is combined with my partner. We split 50-50 right now because we earn the exact same. And that is your rent, gas, water bill, electricity, internet, and groceries. Made these little Excel sheet cells for us to be able to track if we're going over our limit, because we just transfer the money into a joint account. We don't actually see exactly what it's going into. So I get paid monthly. I transfer a certain amount into the joint account. So does he, even though he gets paid fortnightly, he saves up for the month and then he transfers. And obviously, hypothetically, we would allocate, say, 800 of that money that we both transferred to groceries. But sometimes we end up spending way more. Sometimes we end up spending less. So I definitely want to be able to track this and make sure that we are keeping on top of everything. The good thing about this, it's very simple, but it's very, very efficient to look exactly what I'm spending. So you've got your budget. This is exactly what we've budgeted for each of those necessities. And then you've got your actual. So over there, you actually put what was taken out of the account. What actually did you spend? For the month of March, you can see we spent less on groceries. So we were left with a lot more money than usual, than using up the whole amount. That obviously extends to the next month, although we can't really see it. It's in the account, we just leave it there. Then we can realize that, hey, we can spend $300 on our pet. We can spend $300 on something else in the future. It's a good way to keep track of that. If I didn't have a track of this, we wouldn't know if we're spending too much or too little. Good to know if you're spending too little so you can put that money somewhere sufficient. There's other months where you can see that we've overdrawn the money. That is also really good to keep a track of, because again, if we overdraw money, then we need to transfer more into that shared account. Or if we had money left over from last month, then obviously that deducts and, it just evens it out. So that's something I have been making sure to keep a track of. It's very, very simple. It's just using simple addition equations. It's literally just minusing your actual spending from your budget, and that's what's left. Very simple. I've made some conditional formatting that highlights if I spend more, highlights if I spend less in a certain different color. The next tab is this Sphinx tracker. Again, I haven't used it since May. I don't even know why it's 2024, but this is an idea that I'm going to try and use next year. So this is if you've got something specific you really want to save up for a trip, a holiday. At the current moment and this year, there's nothing that I really wanted to focus on my mind and save other than the stuff I already saved for, which you'll see very, very soon. But here's an easy little sheet. You've got obviously your little pie chart, very aesthetic. It shows you how much percent of the way. So obviously I said I only saved 200 out of 2,000. I've got 1,800 left to save, and therefore I'm only 10% the way through. The pie chart will start going a different color the higher percent you go, and it's very satisfying to look at. Just obviously put a date and then the amount, and it goes on from there. Now we're going to get into the gritty of actual payday. This may look like a crazy thing. Apologies, but this is very functional for me. It is matching, I think, someone I found online, and I find that it works incredibly well for me. So here I've got the month period that the paycheck is going from. So this is my March to April paycheck. Making it pretty colors makes me more excited to do the budgeting. So I love doing this kind of stuff. My overview is the month and then the exact pay I got. Over in summary, you've got the percentage of what you want to split into. For me, I really want to do 70% as fundamentals, 20% money for fun, and 10% for the future. This means that it calculates it automatically. You can see all the calculations over here. I will highlight them, make them very obvious. It's easy, simple calculations. It's just the percentage depending on how much money you got paid. If you vary with paying every month, every fortnight, obviously you just put the different number in that and all the calculations just do it for you. I mean, that's Excel, that's how it works. The thing that I really work on every single month, this area over on the right, this is my one true love, the one thing that I have worked out my budgeting from. It may seem a little bit confusing because there is a lot of writing all around. Got your budget, which is how much you got paid that month, that fortnight, whatever you're putting in this sheet. What's left calculates after all your calculations over here, your category and your budgets. That's what is calculated left if you didn't spend that much. The aim of this section of the budget is to make sure you're spending or allocating the money that you got to something. You don't want to have excess money just sitting around not put for some reason. Obviously, you can have it sitting around in your bank account and your spending so you can spend on coffee and stuff, but I would say that's still allocating it for something For me, I allocate it for eating out / coffee in the white over here. It's not literally $900 for eating out and coffee. This means leisure shopping for me, whatever's left over after my necessities and things I need to make sure to put money away. So that is always the last thing that is calculated out of this whole little sheet over here on the right. As I've moved out, the first thing I looked at was rent. I put that into my budget. The actual money I'm going to spend on rent and utilities is probably going to be the exact same. However, I do need to track that it can be different. The water bill can be different. Gas goes up higher in winter. Definitely is different. Same with electricity, can be different. So over here, you can see that electricity, I budget $47. $47 is obviously just my share of the electricity. It's 50-50 with my partner. But actually, I spent $20.14 that month on electricity. It immediately highlights using conditional formatting a different color. So I know that, hey, I'm actually under my budget, which means I have excess money left over, which is great. It can be used for other things. Actually, surprisingly, the guesstimates are actually quite correct. So we're keeping at it. It's pretty easy. Everything in green is stuff that I put in a savings account, by the way. Ubank is really good because I can create multiple accounts where bills can be taken out of. It's literally just my bills account. So I have a phone bill and health insurance in one account. They get automatically taken out. I transfer that exact amount of money. I focus on is Mikey, tolls, and petrol. So I live a bit away from my work. I need to catch a train to work, or when I'm driving back to see my mum, driving anywhere for friends and family, I need to drive in tolls, and it's quite expensive. So that's money that I need to make sure I put away monthly so I'm able to actually go on tolls and not into my leisure money. So I put money away from that. I've estimated my petrol because I had the same car for 5 years in a savings account in Ubank where I can just easily tap and spend on the petrol. I then make sure to track my car rego and my car maintenance fund. So those go again into a savings account in Ubank. So I make sure that I've split that certain bunch of money into the allocated months I need to save up for, put it into that account, don't worry about it, because then when that bill sneaks up 6 months later, it's like, hey, you owe $400 something. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I don't have that money. It's already in the account. I'm already saving and pre-saving for that, which is really great. A hair and beauty savings account. I don't know if this is like a girly thing or not, but I definitely spend a lot on dyeing my hair. So I put away money for that. I've kind of guesstimated how much my hair costs every time I get it, divided it by months. And beauty involves like getting my nails done, getting a lash lift. As a girly, that costs a lot in the scheme of things, so it's great to be prepared for that and put that away in a savings account. I have my two main future savings. So you can see on the left here, I've got a future budget. It's my house savings, and then I put away money for a holiday because I am someone who loves traveling overseas. I'm not too sure if you have scrolled through my YouTube, but I have many vlogs of being internationally traveling. These are all paid for by myself, by my hard work. Everyone should put away money for different stuff, your different values, different things that you want to save up for. If you want to put more away for your house savings, do. If you want to put less away, do that. If you don't want to save up for holidays, don't. It's totally up to you. And there's a lot of other things you could put money away for. A lot of people I see when they budget online, they budget for gifts. I haven't done that yet. When I first made this budget, I didn't really think that was going to be an issue. As I am 7 months into using this budget spreadsheet and my budget I created, I can see how much of an issue it can be because birthdays do creep up. I definitely will be adapting my budget soon. So I will make a different video, hopefully exciting. So generally after all that, figuring out that budget, the budget that will happen every month, I then got left with the money that is for eating out coffee. So this is where I just generally made and created my budget, kind of figured out exactly what was happening. Again, I've got the actual one left to spend as well, just like you saw in my first expense tracker. I track exactly what I spent then and then what's left to spend to make sure that I'm allocating all the money that I got into something. I don't want random money just floating out in the abyss. And here's where the fun stuff happens. Yay! This is your fun spending. So this is where I track what I'm spending on my leisure money. Because again, I do allocate quite a bit into leisure money because I like having that depth of money available. I could honestly split my leisure money into more stuff like gift giving. I will eventually do that. But this is where I track all the good, fun, fresh stuff that I'm spending out of my normal spending account, which is ING. Here is the exact same thing where you give it a name, you give it a budget. To be honest, I don't actually need the budget or left money. The left is just empty because it just has a calculation at the end. The budget and actual will always end up probably being the same thing, unless it was expected things I was going to spend, like, oh, I'm going to a wedding, I expected to spend this much at the wedding, but I didn't. It can also work like that. And this is where I go through at the end of the month or during the month or as regularly as I can, because again, I get paid monthly. I go into my ING spending account and I track what I'm spending just to make sure that I am staying under that budget. I'm not overspending and eating money out of what was already in my spending account or having to transfer from other accounts. And you don't want to become comfortable spending a certain amount if it's over the amount that you're supposed to have. So you want to make sure that you are living in the means that you can. The fun thing here is that I've got another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rainbow pie chart. My favorite, so aesthetic, so cute. This one is based on my fun spending leisure money. And it's very interesting to see because you can see month to month, especially at the end of the year, end of financial year, you can look back and be like, hey, am I spending a certain amount of money on the same thing? When you go into the next financial year and you do your budget again, or create a new budget spreadsheet, which I'm probably going to do, then I can be like, hey, okay, because consistently every month I spend 10% of my spending money, my leisure money, on drinks, I'm going to start actively putting 10% of that money just for drinks. So it can like add up, you can have excess money, you know, rollover, all that kind of stuff, kind of like data rollover. Especially as someone who moved out recently and hasn't really done this before, I think it is a very great value to track every single cent that you spend. Then have a look back on the past 6 months, a year at this pie chart and see exactly if you're spending the same amount of things. So then you can create a new budget and work from that, and it can be all fine and dandy. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed my little budget. I'm learning a bit more about myself, my own spending habits, especially, you know, living at home. It's a completely different realm. Not sure if anyone else relates. Comment down below if you relate, if you've also recently moved out, and if this video was helpful. I hope it has been helpful, at least from a perspective from me. I would have loved to see a video like this, and I did spam watch it. This is not a way to be obsessive about money. You just want to make sure that you are not letting money dictate your life, dictate your happiness. If you love these kind of helpful, productive videos, productivity, wellness, forecasting life, you know, being in your 20s, living life, please hit the like and subscribe button below to join the forecasting wellness squad. I would love to have y'all over here, and I will catch you guys later. See ya.